Okay, welcome back, everyone, as we are on round 2 of our Motzei Shabbos marathon over here, as we are holding 5 lines into Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph. It's a good Daf Gan for all of us who are learning that we're going to be Zeicha to Gan Eden, to much Gan Eden. You know, in the next world, there's all kinds of rewards for all kinds of things. But learning Torah and Gemara, Ashrei Misha Balakan, fortunate is somebody that comes to the next world, V'Talmudai Biyadai, and has his Talmud in his hand. So it's wonderful to have all of you joining us here. And so, Amalei Reb Zeira L'Abaya. So Reb Zeira said to Abaya, we lost one of our Talmidim here, Amalei Reb Zeira L'Abaya, Reb Zeira said to Abaya, Shar HaNiskolin, others that are stoned, the like Sivbu Skila, and that it doesn't say by them Skila, so the Gamrei me Oivi Yadaini are different types of necromancers. There's different ways to communicate with the dead, and that's, there the Torah says Skila Beferish. So the other places where it doesn't say stoning, but my Gamrei, how do we derive it? Is it a connection of b'mois yumsay Gamrei from mois yumasu, or b'demeim bum Gamrei? Or do we learn it out that their blood is upon their heads? So amalei b'demeim bum Gamrei. We learn it out from demeim bum. The iba mois yumasu, because if it was from mois yumasu, so then Gamrei, Demeim Lamali. What do we do with Demeim Bam? Elamai, but Demeim Gamrei, that Mois Yumasu Lamali. Why does it say Mois Yumasu? So the Gemara has an answer for that. It's telling us that if we can't give the prescribed execution, then we execute them in any way possible. Kedetanya. Mois Yumas Hamaka Reitzeachu is put to death because he's a murderer. Ainly Elabamisak Suvabai. I only know by the Misa that it says that you cannot give him the prescribed death sentence, that you could give him any of the death sentence. We learn out from Moisi Masu that we kill him in any way that we can, even giving him over to Barry. Now, from Reb Zeira, it seems to be that Reb Zeira was tilting to learning it out from Demei and Bum. Amalei Rav Achmed Difter Ravina v'Iba Mois Yumasu Gamrei Maika Kashalei. And if we learned it out from Mois Yumasu, what would have been difficult? Now, you know, I would have said that the difficulty is that because then we don't know what to do with Demei and Bum. But at that stage, we didn't know what to do with Mois Yumasu either. So why was he leaning not to learn out from Mois Yumasu? If it's because of an Ashes Ish. Now, an Ashes Ish, the punishment is strangulation. But it says Mois Yumasu by Ashes Ish. So Ilay Ashes Ish Kakashalei. We should learn out Mois Yumas from Oiv Yadaimi from the necromancer, Malhalam Beskila, Afkan Beskila, and therefore it's kasha. Why is adultery, regular adultery, strangulation? It should be stoning. That's not a kasha. Because since it says that the Arusa, the betrothed maiden, is Beskila, that means regular adultery is not. Midam Rachman Arusa Beskila, Mechlal the Nesua, that regular adultery, La Beskila. Ve'ala Maka Avi Ve'imoy Kashalei. Hitting a father and a mother. L'meisi Ve'ligmar Me'ovi Yadaini. It says over there, Mois Yumas. So we should learn out from Ovi Yadaini. Ad the Gamre says in Gemara, well, but Ad the Gamre Me'ovi Yadaini, rather than learning it out from Oiv Yadaini and say it's Skila, Ligmer Meishis Ish, the Atam Rashi Lamoshel Achmala, you can't be more stringent, El Hakilala. And therefore, it wouldn't be a kasha that Maka of Imay should be stoned, because since you could learn it out from adultery, tfasta meruba loy tfasta, tfasta meruba tfasta. So you would learn out the lesser penalty. Amalei, so he says the reason why he didn't want to learn out from Moisi Masu is Shara Niskalin Gufayu Kukashalei. The Iba Mois Yumas Gamrei. If we learn out from Mois Yumas, then why do we learn it out from Oivi Yadaini? We should learn it out from adultery. Ad the Gamrei me Oivi Yadaini Ligmeru Meishes Ish. Therefore, it must be that we rely on the Mayim Bum, which is the source for the skila, which is not by adultery.
Didn't we say regular Misa is always chenek? Did we say it before on Amud Aleph?
Yeah, we said regular Misa is chenek.
Chenek, because that's what we said right here. I mean, they ignored that? I mean, they went away from that?
No, that is the maskana.
Oh, so
because that is the maskana, because the Mayim Bum is the source for skila.
So Ovin Yudoni also is the most Yimasa.
No, but it says beferish stoning.
Oh, okay.
Now, says the Mishnah, Elu heina niskal. The following are stoned. Barry, get ready. Okay, I see he's already horizontal. That's good. Now, Elu heina niskal. The following are stoned. Habo'al or aim, one who sleeps with his mother. Valashis of, or his stepmother. Valakala, or a daughter-in-law. Valazocher, or a male. Valabahema, or bestiality. Or V'isha Meviyas Abahema, or a woman that brings an animal upon her. V'megadef, blasphemy. V'oiver avodas kechavim, idolatry. If somebody delivers his child to the priests of Melech, they give it back to him, and then he passes it through the fire. And different varieties of necromancy, communicating with the dead. We'll learn about that in greater detail in the Gemara. One who desecrates the Shabbos. One who curses his father and mother, which is worse than hitting a father and mother. One who sleeps with a betrothed maiden. Vamesis, one who seduces an individual. Vamadiach, one who subverts an entire city. Vamachashev, a sorcerer. Ben Sarah Myra, the wayward and rebellious child. Now, we know if you do an Isser Karis, B'Shageg, you're chayav a chatis for each avera that you do. So obviously, this is talking about b'shageg, because if it's b'mezid, we can't kill a person twice. So abala aim, if one sleeps with his mother, who is also his father's wife, even though they're now divorced, so that it's also not an ashes ish. So abala aim chayiv aleh mishum aim umishum ashes of. He's chayiv a chatas because it's a mother, and also because it's his father's wife. Rabbi Yehuda learns out, we'll see, because it says, Imchahi, Eina chayiv ela mishum aim bilvad. Habal ashes of, somebody sleeps with his stepmother, chayiv mishum ashes of, if they're married, it's his stepmother, and also mishum ashes ish. It's also his a married woman. Now the chiyuv of ashes of is bein b'chayav, whether the father is alive, bein lachamisa, even after his father died, lachamisas of it, bein min ha'erusin, even if they're only engaged, bein min ha'asuin, and of course if they are married. As we welcome in Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg for our 31st Zoomer, and Mo Kushner for our 30th Zoomer. As what a wonderful duo. Both Floridians, by the way, both Mo Kushner and Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg are coming in, blasting off from Florida. We are, gentlemen, we are holding on Nun Gimel Amud Aleph, we are holding at the end of the Mishnah towards the bottom. Habal Kalosai, if one sleeps with his daughter-in-law, and she's married, chayiv alav mishum kalasei or mishum eishasi. She's chayiv chatas because it's his daughter-in-law, and also chayiv chatas because she's a married woman. Now, the isser of a daughter-in-law applies even after the son dies. Bein b'chayiv b'nai, whether the son is alive, bein la'achamisa. Achamisa's b'nai, even after the son dies, she still has a title of a daughter-in-law. Bein min ha'erisin, whether they were just engaged, bein min ha'asuin, or if they're married. Now, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'hakol niyeh b'dvaro. Now, the Braisa has a different version of Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. This could be confusing. Rabbi Yehuda said that when she's his mother and also his father's wife, he's only chayav for his mother and not an aveira, a chatas for being his father's wife. Tanya, here the Gemara downplays Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda, if she wasn't fit for him, that means that there was some isser, some illegality in their marriage, then ein chayiv ela mishuma ein bilvad. Then you're only chayiv because it's his mother and not because it's his father's wife. What does it mean that she's not fit for him? Ilaima chayiv creases. If it's an issakaris, that let's say it was his sister, the chayve misas bezdin, or she was a married woman, well, nobody would hold that you're chayiv for eishasav because there's no kedushin. Then b'chlal the rabbanon savrei afagav de'enu ru'iloi, this you're chayiv chatas even though they're not fit for her. She's not fit for him. Ho less like kedushin megava in kedushin taisbim b'chayve creases b'chayve lav. Ella and kedushin taisbim b'chayve creases b'chayve misas bezdin. Ella chayve lavin. It's talking about where the mother was a mamzeres, and therefore the father can't marry her from the lav of marrying a mamzeres, or the mother was a nasin, a gevaini. And Rabbi Yehuda says that in such a case he holds that ein kiddushin taisim b'chayve lavin, like Rabbi Akiva, and therefore that's why there would be no chatas for eishasav. Ela chayve lavin. Rabbi Yehuda savalak Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Yehuda is like Rabbi Akiva. Dam ein kiddushin taisim b'chayve lavin. So now the Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda can't hold like Rabbi Akiva. Masav Rabbi Shia. Here's a situation of Yibam. I know everybody loves Yibam. So here's a situation where Reuven was married to Sarah, and Reuven dies childless. And Sarah falls to Shimon, and Sarah is forbidden to Shimon either because she's a shniya, that means a rabbinic erva, like a grandmother, or because Shimon is a kayin and she's a divorcee from before. Either way, so there's a blockade, but the blockade is not of a chorus or Mises Bezdin situation. So here we have a split decision. Master Rabbi Isha, Isser Mitzvah, Isser Kedusha, if she's forbidden to Shimon either as an Isser Mitzvah or an Isser Kedusha, so we don't allow Shimon to be miyamar, but he must do chalitza. Chalitza is v'lo misyabemes. Now, what's Isser Mitzvah and Isser Kedusha? As we turn to Nun Gimel Amid Beis, Isser Mitzvah is a mitzvah l'shmaya l'divrei chacham, shniyos m'divrei seifim, where Sarah is to Shimon a rabbinical erva, like a grandmother, or his grandfather's wife. V'amai korlu Isser Mitzvah, why is it called Isser Mitzvah? Shemitzvah l'shmaya divrei chacham, it's a mitzvah to listen to chacham. Isser Kedusha is, let's say Shimon was a Kohen Gadol, and now Sarah is an Almana a Kohen Gadol, or Grusha v'Chalutza, the Kohen Idiot, or she's a divorcee from a different marriage, and he's a Kohen. V'amai Korlu is a Kedusha, because Kohanim have extra Kedusha, D'chsiv Kedoshim Yiyu Le'Leikeyem. B'Tanya Allah, and we learned on this, Rabbi Yehuda Machlif Chilufei. Rabbi Yehuda Machlif. Rabbi Yehuda says it's a mitzvah, is the Kahanic Isser, and Isser Kedusha is the Shnias. But either way, we see Chilufei Yehuda Machlif. But he holds that even though a Alman of the Kohen Gadol, Grusha Chalutza, the Kohen Hedi is an Isser Lav, he says you still need Chalitza. But if Ein Kedushin Taisim B'chayv Elaven, then you wouldn't need Chalitza. Ha Chalitza Bay. Yisok Dait Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Kiva Svirlei. Michtei Chayv Elaven Rabbi Kiva. Chayv Elaven to Rabbi Kiva are Kechayv Krisis Dami. Are like Chayv Krisis, and there's no Chalitza by Karis. In other words, if somebody's sister would fall to him, there's no Chalitza. V'Chayv Krisis Labnei Chalitza V'Yibam Nunu. So the Gemara says, no. Rabbi Yehuda Taka holds there's no Kedushin by Chayv Elaven. But he said, L'Devar of the Tanakama Kama. He says, according to your opinion, I just want to switch around Issa Mitzvah and Issa Kedusha. That Issa Mitzvah refers to the Kahanic prohibitions, and Issa Kedusha refers to the rabbinical arayos. But he doesn't hold of it because he holds that there's no Chalitza by Chayv Elaven at all. However, if you remember, we said that this was a watered-down version of Rabbi Yehuda. However, Ki Asa Rabbi Yitzchak, when Rabbi Yitzchak arrived, Tani Kiditanan, he had a version like we learned in our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Einay Chayev Ela Mishuma Ein Bilvad, only Chayev for a mother and not for Eishes Av. The time am I? What's the reason? So now we're going to really wade into drushes, why Rabbi Yehuda says that if he sleeps with his mother, who's also his father's wife, and he does it unwittingly, he's only chayav one sin offering and not two sin offerings. So the time of Mai, Amar Abaya, the Amar Kra Imchahi. It says she is your mother. Mishum ima yata mechayva. You're only chayav for the fact that she's the mother. V'yata mechayva mishum eises up. There's no iser for being the father's wife. So the Gemara says, well, that's going to cause a problem because we have contradictory implications. Elamiyata ervas eishes avicha loy sigala. The erva of your father's wife you shouldn't uncover ervas avichai. So it says again a miyat. That would imply mishum eishes avata mechayvai. For your father's wife you're chayav v'yata mechayva mishum imai. So that's contradictory. Here we're saying you're chayiv only because she's a father's wife and not because it's a mother. And there we said you're chayiv for the mother and not because it's a father's wife. So the Gemara says, then you're forced to say a ludicrous drasha. That if a woman is his biological mother but not his father's wife, you're chayiv because she's his mother. And if it's his father's wife and not your biological mother, you're chayiv for father's wife. But if it's a father's wife and a mother, then you're not chayiv anything. That would be how you'd have to learn. Each pasuk serves as a limitation. One pasuk says you're chayiv for imay and not for eishes. One pasuk says you're chayiv for eishes and not for imay. Hashta imay she'ena eishes if it's his mother, but they're not married, it's out of wedlock. Mechayiv. And eishes she'ena imay, if it's his father's wife but not his mother, in other words, it's his stepmother, mechayiv. But imay she eishes v'loy mechayiv klal, that doesn't make sense. V'su, and furthermore, the Rabbanan nami yaksiv imchi. What did Rabbanan do with the miyad of imchi? Ella, the miyad of imchi is not available because ahul mibayle Rav Sheisha b'rei Ravidi. It's needed for a drasha, which the Gemara doesn't tell us now. We'll learn about it tomorrow. But imcha is needed for a different drasha. A drasha of Rav Sheish Bered Rabidi. Rabbi Yehuda Nami Yahu Mabai Leila Kid Rav Sheish Bered Ravidi. It's needed for the drasha of Rav Sheish Bered Ravidi and not to exclude Eishes Av. So how does Rabbi Yehuda know that he's chayav for a chatas for being his mother, but not for being his father's wife? So now the Gemara starts from the drawing board. Ella. I think I'll take a rest for a moment. Mark says, don't finish too early, Rabbi Weiss. I'll have a lot of explaining to do. He told his wife, two blot. She computes at least 2 hours. And we're only now at 1 hour and 1 minute. Mark's in a lot of trouble. By the way, Rabbi Weiss, I want to give advanced notice that I think we're going to have a chok tomorrow night. I did 7 of the 8 disciplines of the chok, so I just have to do the Zohar. So it's looking good. Anybody wants to sponsor the chok, let me know. Ella, Amar Rav Acha B'rei Ravika, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, Ervasa, her nakedness. Mishum erva achas ata mechayva. You're only chayav for one nakedness. V'yata mechayva mishum shtei ervas. So that the Gemara assumes you're chayav because she's your mother and not because she's your father's wife. Ela meyata, says the Gemara, then we should have to do the same thing by a daughter-in-law. Ervas kalos chaloi sigala. The nakedness of your daughter-in-law you shouldn't uncover. Eishes binchahi. It's the wife of your son. Lo sigala ervasa. So here we should also say, Hachanami mishum erva achas ata mechayve. You're only chayiv because of one nakedness. That she's a daughter-in-law. V'yata mechayve mishum shtei ervas. But you're not chayiv also because she's a married woman. But v'tanan abal kalosay chayiv alo mishum kalosay mishum eishes. You're chayiv because she's a daughter and a married woman. And Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue on that. Bein b'chayiv b'nai, whether the son is alive. Bein lachamisas b'nai. And Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue over there. V'loi polag Rabbi Yehuda. Rather, you can't learn out from erva amiyat, because since it's the same body, it says one nakedness, even though there's 2 isurim. Elakevin the chad gufo afal gav the trei isureinu, even though it's 2 isurim, ksiv ervasa. So hachanami, just like by kalosa, you're chayiv both for eishes ish and for a daughter-in-law, even though it says of ervasa. Hachanami, we should say the same thing over here. Kevin the chad gufi, since it's one body, a mother and father's wife. Afal gav the trei isureinu. So we can't learn out that Rabbi Yehuda learns from there that you're chayiv only for aim and not for eishes. Ella, back to the drawing board. Ella. It's interesting. Ella is a palindrome, right? Shelley, you picked that up right away. I saw that in your eyes. I trained Shelley at palindromes. So it is a palindrome because we're going back. We're going back to the beginning, right? So, Ella, Amarava, Kasava Rabbi Yehuda, Ervas Avicha. When it says Ervas Avicha, nakedness of your father, it's not talking about homosexuality. Zu Eishes Avicha. And we learn it out from Gzei Rishava. Umashma bein eishes aviv shehi imay. It's both his father's wife, who's also his biological mother. Bein eishes aviv she'ena imay, or his father's wife that's not his biological mother. It implies both. Imay she'ena eishes aviv minayin. How do I know his biological mother that's out of wedlock? She had a fling. How do we know that that's also usher? Talmud Leimer ervas imcha lo sigal. But then after it says that, it also says imchahi. Oh, those extra words, imchahi, misham imayata mechayvai, you're only chayiv because of the name of his mother, v'yata mechayvai misham eishes aviv. You're not mechayiv for the fact that it's his father's wife. We'll have more to say about this tomorrow, as I know you're going to look forward to this. Also, we hope to have a chok tomorrow as well. Remember, we're looking for sponsors for the Chumash year and for the Mishnah Yomis, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. And now we're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis.